Hello again, everyone. Welcome to the World of Football YouTube channel. I'm your host, Adam Snow. Sitting next to me right now is my father, Randy Snow, the founder of the World of Football. Dad, how are you doing today?
It's kind of late at night. Couldn't you plan this for a little earlier? It's past my bedtime.
Well, no, because, some of us are night owls. I know you're not, but it's okay. We're here today. We're going to be talking about the Indoor Football League. That's right. Indoor Football League's coming back. We're very excited about it, but we'll be the first ones to admit we're not like super knowledgeable of it. We know the teams, we know some of the names, but we're going to bring in an expert here who can, help educate us about some Indoor Football League action, and that is our buddy. We call him a friend of the show, Trey from Off the Wall. Trey, how are you doing, good sir?
I am doing well. I'm humbled to get a return invite from you guys for the World of Football. Big fan of what you guys are doing year round. So yeah, I'm excited to talk ball, and the indoor and arena football season is kicking into high gear very, very quickly. So it's here. We've been waiting. It's here.
Yeah, we're big fans of yours, obviously, as well. I mean, between your shows like the Turf Tapes, your regular podcast where you interview a lot of great players and personalities from all over the indoor and arena sphere are utterly fantastic. If you guys get a chance, go check out Off the Wall. I believe it's at Off the Wall FB on X, and is that the same for the YouTube handle?
Yep, it's same everywhere, universal.
All right, so go over there, check him out, like, subscribe, all that junk, guys. I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed with the content Trey's pumping out over there and Off the Wall. And obviously, us, a couple of schmucks here at the World of Football. We got our podcast this week in the World of Football. Please go check it out. Like, subscribe to the channel, all that jazz. Like our socials. You saw the graphics pop up. They're gone. Let's get to the conversation, fellas. Indoor Football League's coming back for what is this? Their 17th season.
Yep.
Unbelievable run. They've been, the top dog in the indoor and arena scene for me. They're the gold standard as of right now. They're doing a lot of great, interesting stuff over there. Dad, where do you want to start?
Well, I thought we'd do a quick review of last season, the 2024 season. The IFL had 16 teams last year, and this past off season, they lost 3 teams that went dormant. Kind of a surprise to me. The Duke City Gladiators, Frisco Fighters, and the Sioux Falls Storm decided to go dormant for this coming year. But they did pick up a new team in the Fishers Freight, and we'll talk more about the Fishers Freight later. But the championship game came down to the Arizona Rattlers and the Massachusetts Pirates in Las Vegas last year, and it was won big time by the Rattlers, 53-16. So here they are for another season, and I thought we'd go right into talking about the 14 teams that they've got this year coming up. Starting off with the Jacksonville Sharks, Green Bay Blizzard, the Iowa Barnstormers, Arizona Rattlers, Quad City Steamwheelers, Tucson Sugar Skulls. I've always liked that name, Tucson Sugar Skulls. The Tulsa Oilers, the Massachusetts Pirates, Northern Arizona Wranglers, the Bay City Panthers, which are owned by Marshawn Lynch, part owner, San Diego Strike Force. They got a cool logo. Being from the military, I love that logo. The Vegas Nighthawks. I kept saying Las Vegas last year, and Adam kept saying, no, it's Vegas. It's the Vegas Nighthawks, not Las Vegas.
Respect the branding, Randy. Come on.
Yeah, I know. The San Antonio Gunslingers, which takes me back to the USFL of the 1980s. And finally, the Fishers Freight for next year. So, why don't we... Oh, what was that, Adam? What was that?
Oh, sorry. Every time we say Fisher's Freight, I might just pull this out.
I gotta get
2025.
I gotta get one. That's a cool
nice
helmet.
Mini helmet. I like what they got there.
Yeah. So I thought we'd run it over to Trey and say, you're more in tune with the IFL. You've been following them probably all off season on who's made what trades and whatnot. Who are some of the teams that people should be looking at this year in the IFL?
So it's an interesting lay of the land for the IFL because it feels like from last year, in the IFL in general, you're going to have your perennial teams that are always going to be good. It seems like the Rattlers are always good. The Pirates are always good. But it's a real grab bag every other year, it seems like, on who's going to rise to the top and who's going to, flounder towards the bottom a little bit. I think this is a very interesting year as we head into 2025. Specifically, when you look at it by conference, the Eastern Conference is wide open. I think that you can make a legitimate case for 6 of the 7 teams to come out of the Eastern Conference as the champions at the end of the year, especially when you talk about some of the teams that went dormant, Frisco and Sioux Falls. Those two teams are typically very, very good teams and usually occupy 2 of the playoff spots. So now they're dormant. 2 playoff spots are up for grabs for the rest of the conference. So the Eastern Conference is going to be very fun to watch. And then the Western Conference, it seems like every single team managed to reload. Like somehow almost every single team is better on paper than they were last year, which is incredible. So if we're looking at individual teams that I think are going to be really good, a lot of folks have been high on this team all offseason, and I think it's for good reason, is the Jacksonville Sharks. Jacksonville Sharks had a very good offseason in terms of free agent acquisitions and really bolstering their roster. That fan base is not used to losing, so having a tough 5-11 season last year was a bit of a wake-up call throughout the entire org. So they brought in players like Jimmy Robinson from Massachusetts, Eddie Vander from Quad City, Karan Ashley from Quad City. They re-signed some of their key weapons that kind of made them competitive towards the end of last year. So they're going to be a very fun team to watch. And even the IFL Power Rankings that came out, they're ranked number 2 in the initial Power Rankings, which is crazy to think that they finished 5-11 last year, but they're 2 in the Power Rankings. That just shows how impactful their offseason was.
Yeah,
Is there a team you think could be? Sorry, Dad. I want to ask Trey a question next.
Go ahead.
Trey, is there a team that started at the top and might be sliding down? Do you think maybe they just had an off year or off season, if you will, and might be trickling down? A team that everybody might have high hopes for, but settle down, everybody. This might be a team that got a rough patch ahead of them.
Yeah, I honestly like I said, you can make a case for I think 12 of the 14 teams to make a legitimate run in the league this year. But I think there are a couple that will probably take a slide. I feel like Massachusetts has a very talented roster. You look at the folks that they acquired, and it's a lot of borderline UFL, CFL, training camp NFL talent that has spent time with teams all across the country. But it seems like their floor is really high, but their ceiling is really low, in my opinion, because they lost Jimmy Robinson, who was one of the most productive players in IFL history over the past 2 years with what he was able to do on offense and special teams. They lost their quarterback that had been around for multiple years, and Alejandro Benefield to retirement. And so they're bringing in a new quarterback in Kenji Bahar, who's going to be very talented, very good, but this is his first stint in the indoor game. You're bringing in some quality players, like I said, to replace some of the production that they lost. But it's going to take some time for them to get there. But they're returning a ton of talent from last year, especially in their receiving core and secondary. And they're going to be very good. But I personally have them on the outside looking in when it comes to the playoffs, just based on how the other teams kind of were able to address their needs and figure out, okay, this was a problem for us last year. Let's make it a strength. I feel like Massachusetts was the only one that really didn't make those corrections in the East.
You mentioned Kenji Bahar. That name is so familiar. He was in the UFL, or was it the XFL a couple years ago, or USFL?
I think he was in the UFL. I think he was with the Birmingham Stallions, I want to say. I could be wrong. It was either UFL or USFL. But yeah, he has some experience in spring football, and I think he spent some time in training camp with the Baltimore Ravens. So he's got a very high ceiling in terms of what he can do, but he just hasn't been able to see the field a ton professionally. So this is going to be a great opportunity for him to get some film, and I would not be surprised based on his skill set and who Massachusetts is as an organization. Massachusetts sends a lot of people to the CFL and the UFL just from the caliber of talent they bring in. So I would not be surprised to see him get a look at the next level.
Now, you talked about the teams in the East being really good. Who stands out for you in the West this coming year?
I think all 4 teams that made the playoffs last year I think they're going to make the playoffs again this upcoming year. Vegas returned a ton of their roster from last season, and they were very, very good last year. They started off 7-0. They hit a bit of a rough patch in the middle where they were trying to figure some things out, but they finished strong, and they were a last-minute 2-point conversion away from potentially going to the Western Conference Championship. So I feel like bringing back Jerome Johnson, who was the league MVP last year, he played unbelievable football for the majority of the year. And bringing him back, bringing a lot of his weapons back, being able to reload on defense as well. I think Vegas is primed for a run. Arizona's bringing back Drew Powell. It's funny to see that Drew Powell was so talented for the Rattlers over the past couple of years, He goes to the Orlando Predators for a year. Rattlers win the championship, and then they bring him back. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Rattlers perform with Powell back at the helm, and yes, San Diego, and you can't forget Bay Area. Bay Area just manages to always reload. Les Moss, legendary coach. He was the coach for Northern Arizona last year. He's going to be an assistant coach on the Bay Area staff this year. So they brought a ton of experience to the coaching staff. A lot of the players that were with Les Moss and offensive coordinator Rod Windsor in Northern Arizona made the trek over to Bay Area. So we kind of have a fusion of the Bay Area the Bay Area defense from last year with the Northern Arizona offense from last year. That was very dynamic, and their quarterback, who also went to Bay Area for this year, he was Rookie of the Year, and you could make a case for him to have a very strong MVP campaign in 2025.
Boy, Adam, we sure got the right guy to come talk to us about the
Hey.
IFL. This guy knows everything.
I could listen to him wax poetic about the Indoor Football League and all its machinations for hours on it. And as a matter of fact,
love the
I
game.
do over on his podcast, which everybody should check out. And watching him do the turf tapes, which is also great, which we also appeared on, by the way.
Yes,
A lot of fun.
yes.
One of the best times we've had. And the fact that you had Randy on a live stream and he didn't have to go to the bathroom once was impressive. Just saying.
I bought a lottery ticket that night. Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say our episode of the turf tapes was the best one he's ever done, and I don't have any of my props today, so there's nothing I can do to top that one.
I mean, I don't like to toot our own horn, but I mean, I've kind of rewatched our episode a little bit. I mean, I thought it was
a good one. It was quality.
It was a good one.
Yeah.
He knew how to lure us in with talking about our favorite arena team, but we're not here to talk arena. We're here for indoor football. No. I'm trying not to say the other league's name during the show. But, that other league has been noisy for different reasons. Now, the IFL's been a league a little more settled in. I think we've talked about it last year. They got a little more buttoned up, but there was as Randy mentioned to start the show, they lost 3 teams. And you lose a franchise like the Sioux Falls Storm, who has been a staple in the Indoor Football League for, God knows, since its inception. I mean, they've been around forever, it seems like. And to lose them had to have taken a little bit of the sales out of this league. Do you agree? Or do you think they're sitting pretty good still? Or do you think, does losing the 3 franchises cause a little concern for this league as they try to grow and expand?
I think it causes a little bit of concern, but not as much as you would think. Just because from 2023 to 2024, that was the first year in IFL history that every team that played the previous year came back for the next year. So all 16 from 2023 came back for 2024. So I know everybody was hoping for the same because, as we all know, in arena and indoor football, consistency is not our friend. Every year, teams are coming, teams are going. So the good news is I think 2 of the teams will be back in some capacity next year, if not next year, the year after. It's looking like Sioux Falls has got their arena situation figured out. Not official, but it's looking good there. Duke City, they had some issues off the field with some of the leadership. Not gonna get into it, but it's looking like they have new ownership and new people steering the ship there. So they should be back. They might be back with a new identity. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. But the fact that 2 of the 3 teams are looking really good to come back, I think alleviates any of that concern. And there's a lot of hullabaloo out there about some potential expansion. When you look at the expansion of the IFL over the past couple of years, we look at Vegas, we look at Tulsa, we look at Fishers. What do those 3 teams have in common? I'll let you guys guess. What off the top of your head, what do they all have in common?
Around NFL markets.
True. And they partner with minor league hockey teams.
No.
So the Tulsa Oilers have a hockey team. The Vegas Silver Knights, there's a AHL team. The Fishers Freight has the Indy Fuel. So it's like the IFL has kind of figured out the playbook for expansion is not building a team from scratch, but building a team as an add-on to an already existing franchise. Like, you don't have to build out marketing. You don't have to build out sales. You don't have to build out a new relationship with an arena. That's already built in to some of these ECHL and AHL teams. So I think that's what you're going to see with expansion with the IFL in the future. Kind of look to see where some of those markets are all across the country. And if they don't have an IFL team, I wouldn't be surprised if they do in the near future.
We do have I think they
Say.
play in the ECHL. We have the Kalamazoo K-Wings hockey team that just plays right down the road from where I live. I mean, hey, Indoor Football League, chop chop, Kalamazoo, Michigan. I mean,
Make the call.
we're ready.
It's the center of the football world. That's what I've heard.
It is the center.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Trey. It is the center of the football world.
The checks in the mail.
Now,
Thank you.
now, speaking of off season, you kind of mentioned it on your show. It was a relatively quiet off season for a change for the Indoor Football League, but recently, the big hot topic has been the IFL network. It has been this move off of YouTube and this move onto their own platform. Now, we gave our thoughts on our podcast. I know you've probably talked ad nauseum about it, but why don't you tell people out there who might not know what's going on about this IFL network and a little bit of your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so the IFL for a couple years has been streaming all their games on YouTube. Free of charge, obviously. If you have access to the internet, you could pull up youtube.com. You could watch the IFL, and which is great for general visibility. But what the IFL came out and said when they unveiled the IFL network was that, hey, we don't really have demographic data. We can't really monetize our product, which is the game, the players playing on the field. We can't monetize that as well on YouTube. And they kind of fell down a rabbit hole of a bunch of different things and all these different reasons. And I'm okay with them creating the IFL network. I understand the need to be able to control your own content, the need to be able to monetize it the way that you need to, the way to be able to capture that demographic data, to understand who your consumer is. I get that. I'm all for that. My issue is the paywall, personally. I feel like full paywall from the jump, I feel like that's a mistake. That's just me. I feel like they had an opportunity to have a free tier, and then, hey, if you want to do a quad box of 4 games at once, that's $10 a month or $10 for the season. If you want to do access to pregame and postgame interviews with players and coaches, that's $5 on season. Like, just throwing things out there as a general idea. Like, I feel like the freemium model of the base product is free, and then you can, kind of sell some stuff on top of that. I feel like there's some opportunity on the table that they left there, because I think going full paywall from the jump, I just think it was a mistake. I think they'll be fine. I don't think this is the end of the IFL, like a lot of people on online are saying. This is the death of the league. No, they'll be fine. It's going to be okay. But I do think they could have gone about it a little bit of a different way. There's a lot that I feel like they could have done a little bit differently.
Yeah, we talked about it on our podcast, like Adam said, and $30 for the whole season is not that much. I mean,
that's a great price.
Well, hold on, not the whole season,
really,
just the regular season.
The regular season, yeah.
The whole
you're gonna have to fork
season.
over more for the playoffs.
Yeah,
right.
I'm not a fan of that either. Let me get ahead of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like they're charging NFL money, for the NFL package, hundreds and hundreds of dollars for out of market games or whatever. This is a very affordable price. But the minute I heard that you couldn't watch any of their games without paying, my first thought was, oh no, my wallet's staying in my pocket. I am not shelling out any money for that.
Yeah.
I may change my mind at one point or some point, maybe when the playoffs come. I don't know, but my first reaction was, nope, I am not gonna pay.
And that's fair.
I feel you.
That's perfectly fair.
Yep. But I feel like what they say, it's 30-day free trial to start, right? So you get at least 4 games you get to experience. I think that's enough of a cushion for you as a consumer or a fan of this league to be like, all right, do I really like this product? Is it enough for me to lay down that $30? I'll give them that. At least you're giving me 30 days to assess and see, because I'm going to probably purchase that or at least sign up for this free trial to check out some games this weekend. We're going to be attending a game, so I'm very curious to see the in-game experience and then watch it at home and be like, all right, like, how does that translate? Can I sense the atmosphere on the screen or stuff like that? But you mentioned that they said with YouTube, they want the demographics, they want a lot of that data, and as we're all YouTube creators, here we are on YouTube. A lot of that data is already there for us, so that's why some of that stuff he was talking about, like, we want the gender, ages. It's like YouTube does give you that. I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of free accounts that don't have that, and I get wanting some of that information, but I don't know. It felt like a lot of excuses. But like you said, like, I get why they need to change to this model, because just playing a song in the arena could get them demonetized and So I get that argument, but at the same time, I don't know. I just feel like some of their reasons just didn't feel genuine. I don't know how you felt about that, Trey.
Yeah, I felt the same as they were listing some of the reasons, and I wrote a blog that kind of went into it when it was first announced, and it was like you said, some of the reason the math wasn't mathing. That's what I like to say about situations like that, where I'm like, I get where you're coming from, but what you're using to justify isn't making sense. Like,
Right.
if this is the route you want to go, I understand that, but it did feel like, to an extent, where they were blowing smoke a little bit, and it's like, all right, we don't need to be doing this song and dance. Like, it just doesn't feel genuine at a certain point. And like you said, with the demographic data, some of that stuff is there within YouTube. I think they're looking for stuff that's a little bit more in depth, because what they talked about on some other shows is they're going after national sponsors, and national sponsors want to say, who is your key demo? Is it 18 to 29 people living in Nashville, Tennessee? Is it 18 to 49 people living in Kalamazoo, Michigan? Like, who is your demo? Because that's going to help sell it when it comes to those conversations with marketing and national partnerships. But to me, if that's what they're going after, that's even more reason to have a free tier, to get more people to sign up, to get more people to answer the questions. What's your age? Where are you from? Who's your favorite team? How'd you hear about the IFL? Like, all those things that they ask when you create an account. That's even more reason to get more people in the door, to at least get that demo data to acquire those national sponsorships that they're wanting. So it's like everything just doesn't add up. Again, this is just from my perspective. I don't know the inner workings. Don't have conversations with any folks on the inside of the IFL. But yeah, it just doesn't add up to me. But like I said, IFL will be fine. This is a little bit of a speed bump. I feel like they probably anticipated some of the pushback here. But yeah, once football starts to get played, and once we see the product that is being paywalled, and see how well some of it is working out, that'll be the ultimate test. But yeah, it definitely was a rough week and a half or so since they announced it.
Well,
Now, I have one more question for Trey about this. I don't know where you're going next. I was just going to ask. So I know you've made a point about this. Do you know for sure? Do we know if it's going to be this Viziac, or however you pronounce this, the people who created the network? Is it going to be them handling every broadcast, or is it still going to be like very dependent on the different locations to cover their own stuff? Because like you've mentioned, some of your concerns were, in X location, they put out a great show and they got great cameras. In Y location, not so much. We're watching a guy on his cell phone record the whole game from the 8th row of the upper deck. Like, are we expecting consistency across the board here, or do you think there's still going to be a little bit of variation?
The answer is yes to both, and I'll explain. So, it's complicated. It's very complicated. So, I consume a lot more content on this than I care to admit. So I've been listening to interviews from the IFL commissioner on different shows, and just tuning in everywhere I can to just paint the picture for me. Like, because if it doesn't make sense, help me understand it. Help me make it make sense. So I've listened to some things, and they've actually had an interview on Inside the IFL, like their week 1 preview show, with the founder, or with one of the leaders of the Viziac company. And they said that they're going to have not a command center where everything is going to be, it's basically going to be a control room for all these broadcasts. So tomorrow, or today when this goes live, we've got the Jacksonville Sharks going to the Massachusetts Pirates, playing in Massachusetts. Massachusetts is still responsible for getting the footage, recording it, but it's all going to the command center for Viziac to be able to troubleshoot, test the quality, make sure everything's fine, make sure this. So it's all flowing through there, but at the same time, the commissioner has said this verbatim. This is a direct quote. He says, we're still dependent on what the arena gives us in terms of a stream. So they have quality controls in place when it comes to that command center, when it comes to being able to troubleshoot, when it comes to being able to making sure that the streams are the highest quality possible. But end of the day, the arena still has to give a solid stream. The arena still has to have a solid setup. The arena still has to have a camera guy that can follow the action. Multiple cameras throughout the arena, and the teams are still responsible for that aspect of it. So I think that's going to be very interesting. I think you still will see a variance in quality from team to team. Not as much as last year, but I still think you're going to see it.
Okay, well, changing the subject a little bit here. The
Yeah.
other big story that came out of the off season for the IFL was the fact that their championship game is no longer going to be played in Las Vegas. Now it's
Yep.
going to be played in Tucson, Arizona, and they've got like a 3-year deal. They paid a bunch of money to bring the game down there to Tucson. Uh, I'd like to get your thoughts on that, Trey, but I just want to say that I love Tucson. I've been there many times. When I was in the
Okay.
military from here in Michigan, when it was snowing and blowing in February, the whole base, well, not the whole base, but we would take our jets and we'd go down to Davis Mountain Air Force Base in Tucson. And that's where we'd stay for 2 weeks. We get all the flying hours in down there that we couldn't get up in Michigan because it kept getting
Nice.
canceled because of all the snow up here.
Yeah.
So I love Tucson, and I'd love to go out and see a Sugar Skulls game. And I haven't been to Tucson in many, many years. But
So you're saying
what do
you
you
want to
think?
go to the championship game in Tucson?
That's what I'm hearing.
Okay,
That's what I'm
sold.
hearing, yeah.
Okay, we'll see you there.
Yeah.
but what do you think about the championship game being in Tucson now? Any thoughts on that?
I think it's an interesting choice. It seemed like there were multiple cities that were making bids. It seemed like Vegas was still in the mix for it, but Tucson apparently made an offer that the league could not refuse. What that means, I don't know. Probably means a fat sack of cash if we're being real. But yeah, Tucson's an interesting selection because it is pretty accessible in terms of like it's easy for a lot of teams in these places to get there, but Vegas was also incredibly accessible. So I don't know if it's going to be better per se. I know also that the game in Vegas wasn't in Vegas, like it was in Henderson, which is like
Yeah,
you know a
yeah.
little bit of ways from Vegas. So it could be better, but I'm interested to see how it all shakes out. Yeah, Tucson. It seems like a good fit, but yeah, it just seems like the city of Tucson said, "Hey, come here, come here.
Yep.
We'll make it worth your while." And they're like,
yeah.
"Yes, okay."
Yeah, no, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Okay, Adam, got anything else?
Not really. I was mainly getting ready for the IFL Network talk. We got that out of the way. I feel like we talked about the championship or the location of the championship game. So I think that just leaves us with your last bullet point if you want to tee up that.
Sure. Uh, Trey is the expert on the IFL, so his answer is going to carry some weight. You and I, we're just going to be making stuff up here, but I'd like all three of us to make a prediction as to who we think is going to be the IFL champion, the last team standing at the end of the season. Do you want to go first, Adam, or you want me to go first?
You know what? I'll go first. As probably the dumbest person on the screen right now. I will go first.
No argument there.
And then we'll get smarter as we go along. Look, I think the obvious choice is probably to go with the defending champion Arizona Rattlers, one of the most consistent teams across indoor/arena football. But I'm not going to do that because that's the easy choice. That's the smart person's way out. I'm going to take the underdog, brand new team, the Fishers Freight. F for first season. And I'm not butt kissing the Fishers Freight just because we're going to be at a game soon. And
He's
like
bringing out the props.
No, something just tells me like I don't know. Like this is the team I've gravitated towards in the IFL this year because they're new, they're close. We're going to go see them, and part of me just feels down in my heart of hearts that this is going to be a team that'll be like the Vegas Golden Knights in the NHL their first season getting to the championship game.
Right.
And they I've heard you guys talk about they've got a great head coach out there in Fishers, and what a guy to start building a team with for their first year. Sounds like they brought in a lot of great guys. So you know what? I'm going to take the underdog. I might catch flack for that at the end of the year and be like, what was I thinking when I had the Rattlers sitting right there?
Yeah.
But I'm going to go Fishers Freight.
Yeah.
Unless another team wants to send me a mini helmet, then I will pick.
There you go.
Not that they sent me that one. I paid for that one, but
his pick is for sale, folks.
Mini helmets will buy my loyalty.
Did you see the uniforms that they posted on their socials?
I'm loving the uniforms, and I've even seen they have another helmet. They have a white helmet.
It looks good.
Hey, Fisher's Freight on X. I asked you about a white mini helmet too. Get back to me, please.
Yeah.
Take my money. Take my money.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've got a couple of teams that I think could make it to the end.
Only
this year.
one can win, Randy.
I was about to
I
say,
know.
we're hedging our
Like
bets. What are we
Highlander,
doing here?
there can only be one. Or however the saying goes. I've never watched Highlander.
You know, a couple of years ago, the Northern Arizona Wranglers, they won it all, didn't they? Just a
Yep.
couple of years ago.
Mhm.
And I kind of thought, well, maybe they're going to be good for a couple of years, and they haven't. So I'm thinking that maybe they'll come back. But uh, the team that I'm looking at this year is going to be the Tucson Sugar Skulls, and I'll tell you why. It's
Ooh.
kind of like
Uh-oh.
the CFL. If you're hosting the Grey Cup, you're darn well trying your darndest to get to the Grey Cup so that you can host it in your own arena or stadium. So I'm thinking the Tucson Sugar Skulls are going to break out this season and do whatever they can do to get in the championship game that's going to be in their home stadium.
Okay.
You know, I admire that logic. It's stupid, but I admire your logic.
Well, here's a nugget that's going to sound like I'm burying it, but it's not. I promise. Tucson finished with the worst record in the IFL last year. That's not a bad thing. Here's why. 3 years ago, the Naz Wranglers won the IFL championship. They had the worst record in the IFL the year before. 2 years ago, the Bay Area Panthers won the IFL championship. They had the worst record in the IFL the year before. So history is on your side there. I think that pick might make a little more sense than you realize.
Okay. Well, what do you think, Trey?
Man, I think there's a ton of teams that have the ability to really go out there and compete. We're going to see a lot of high octane football being played. There's so many talented rosters, so many talented players that I would not be surprised to get if we see some folks get called up to the UFL or the CFL mid-season, just because the caliber of player in the IFL has risen so much over the past few years. But I think we end up getting a championship game between the Tulsa Oilers and the Vegas Nighthawks. So the Vegas Nighthawks obviously returning a ton of production from last year, IFL MVP last season, and Jerome Johnson. But Tulsa, quietly, not so quietly, depending on how closely you've been paying attention, Tulsa's defense was very good last year. And Frisco Fighters, their offense was really good last year. Frisco Fighters aren't around this year. So what did the Tulsa Oilers do? They went and got basically 2/3 of the Frisco offense and brought them over to Tulsa. So they're combining the 2024 Frisco Fighters offense, very good. 2024 Tulsa Oilers defense, very good. You're looking at a team that's going to have a very good offense and a very good defense. And last time I checked, that's pretty good when it comes to winning football games. So I think it's going to be Tulsa and Vegas, but I think Vegas is going to end up winning it. I think they just have way too much talent. They're, again, returning so much production from last year. And some of the guys that they've signed that are going to be new to the team can make a big impact if they're given the opportunity to. So I think Vegas is going to win it all, but I think Tulsa is going to be right up there with them.
Good.
Okay.
All right. Sounds good.
Well, yeah. Well, before we wrap up, Trey, I did want to let you know that one of the reasons we picked the Fisher's Freight game we're going to, not only because it's their home opener, but it is because it's against the Tulsa Oilers, a team that you've been very high on last season. So even before this whole taking some of the Frisco guys, I was like, I want to see the Oilers play. Trey has been talking about for the last couple of years about being one of the better organizations, even though their record didn't really reflect that.
Yeah.
But I admire that, and they were a newer team a couple years ago. So, yeah, let's see a couple of newish teams in the IFL. So I want to thank you for putting the Oilers on our radar. And that was the kind of the nail in the coffin that made me go, that's the game. Season opener, it's Tulsa. And now, do you think they're going to be close to winning it all, one of the top teams in the league?
They're going to be very good.
For a heck of a show, Randy, when we get to Fishers.
Yeah,
that's going to be one heck of a game, and I can't talk highly enough about the Tulsa Oilers. They hasn't been ideal the first couple of years, but they sell out their arena every single game for the Tulsa Oilers home games. We're talking 9,000-10,000 folks every single game, and they haven't been great. So they have one of the best home field advantages. That black turf is awesome. So when you get Tulsa wearing all black on the black turf with a crowd full of people yelling, screaming, losing their minds, Tulsa has a great home field advantage, and they're going to have a team to match it. So, yeah, Tulsa's going to be very good. I'm excited for you guys to be able to check that one out.
Yeah, the only thing missing will be you, Trey. We were hoping, work it out. Hopefully you could come up. I mean, I don't know what you're scared. You can still. I mean, they're giving away tickets. Well, not giving away, but they're doing something. I think where they were like, you buy a $27 ticket for the Fisher's Freight, and there's like it's like not a raffle, but you could potentially end up getting like a front row seat or some
Yeah.
other great spots in the arena for buying a $27 ticket. It's a heck of a deal.
Yeah, I might be able to make it work. Let me take a look at the old calendario and see what we can do.
Oh my Lanta, heck yeah, that'd make that even better.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Trey, we'll try to find a camera while we're at the game, and you can look for us on the stream.
Absolutely. I know those guys.
I'm sure you can put us in a nice little highlight package of these two doofuses walking around in World
Let's
of Football
go.
gear.
Hey, Trey,
All right,
if you make it to the game, I'm going to say this: I will buy you a hot dog and a soda. If you come to the game.
Let's go. I've been holding out for that offer. I've been playing hardball, waiting for that.
It just pushed him over the edge. There it is.
Hey, food talks, man. Food talks.
It does, and I listen.
All right, fellas. Anything else before we start wrapping it up?
I'm good.
I mean, I could talk IFL for hours, but
I
know
could
we don't
listen
have
to you
that much
for hours,
time.
Trey.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I have on your podcast, which, by the way, let's throw it to you. What do you want to plug from your channel? Tell everybody out there what you got going on over there at Off the Wall.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, follow us on all socials at Off the Wall FB, F as in foot, B as in ball. I just try to create as much as I can. I feel like this entire industry of arena and indoor football is so unique and so special, and so many players have great stories to tell, and I just do my best to be that outlet for them to make sure that those stories are told. So we've had tons of folks on the podcast. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube as well. So reigning MVP Jerome Johnson of the IFL had him on a couple weeks ago. Had Michael Lawson from the Southwest Kansas Storm on last week. There's just so many great individuals throughout arena and indoor football, and it's been a blast getting to know them and getting to talk it up with them and learning about their journeys, because you learn about some of these people's journeys. It's like, man, they love this sport. Like, they would not have put up with half the crap that they put up with if they didn't love it. So I just try to show the game the love that it deserves, and I do that through content on social channels, on YouTube, and just daring to create what hasn't been created yet. So yeah, give us a follow on socials. Let me know you heard me on the World of Football podcast, and I love chopping it up on socials, on X. I'll mix it up with folks. Known to post a meme or two in my day. So I try to keep it light, try to keep it entertaining while being thoughtful and impactful as well.
I will say, Trey, your social media game is chef's kiss, like some of the best indoor and arena football, social media stuff I've seen. Like, you just posted stuff left and right. I'm like, this dude, I don't know how he's got this much time on his hands, but I admire the crap out of the work you put into that. It is a gift, my friend.
It's my hobby. Like I said, some people go have friends, go outside. I watch indoor football.
All right, Dad, anything else?
Nope, I'm good.
All right. Well, guys, again, you can follow us on various social media platforms. All those links down in the description below. Obviously, like, comment, subscribe. You know the drill by now if you've been on a YouTube channel. And obviously, Randy and I have our own podcast, This Week in the World of Football. We release it every Tuesday. It's available on all podcasting platforms. We'll definitely on the next show, we'll be talking about that opening weekend of indoor football league action, as well as other arena leagues that are playing right now in indoor leagues. So go over there, check us out, wherever good podcasts can be found. And again, Trey, we appreciate you stopping by. You've been one of the coolest people we've gotten to meet doing this. Like, we know and got to know, met and got to know a lot of people. And I always get excited when I'm like, oh God, what can we do with Trey? We talk every now and then, and I know you're a very busy guy. I see your content, and it just makes me go, man, he's covering stuff I wish we even had a smidge of that. That I don't know what you'd call it. That drive, just that know-how. You freaking do it, and it makes me jealous sometimes to see how awesome you are at this. More people need to follow him.
Well, I appreciate that. That's high praise.
Yeah, all I can say is keep up the good work, Trey. We appreciate what you're doing, and we know good talent when we see it, and that's you. So keep up the good work.
Thank you. I
Because we lack
appreciate
the
it.
talent, so we see it everywhere else.
That's right. Yeah, look what
So
I got
for
to
Randy,
work with.
Adam, and Trey, everybody.
I know when I see good
Enjoy
stuff because
some
I got to
IFL
work with Adam.
football. Shut up.
Take
Closing
care,
the show.
guys.
Have a good one,
Bye.
everybody. IFL football tonight, March 21st. Go find it. Even if there's a paywall, just do that subscription for now. Don't pay the $30 yet.
Free trial.
Free trial.